What's up, y'all? Tyler Devereaux here. We are in Mooresville, North Carolina at a 40-unit property that we bought a few years ago, and I'm going to show you why we bought this deal, how we bought this deal, how we drove the values up on this deal, and why you shouldn't sleep on little babies like this. Are you willing to sacrifice in the short term for the long-term benefit? That's what we did right here on this property, 40-unit property in Mooresville, North Carolina, where we bought this property in 2018 and did not want to really buy this property. It was a smaller property, but we knew by buying this property, it would build a relationship with the seller who owned thousands more units here in the Charlotte area. We bought this 40-unit deal, then a 315-unit deal came after, then a 415-unit deal, then a 70-unit deal. Once again, are you willing to sacrifice in the short term for the long term? This property we bought for 1.1, sold for 2.6 18 months later, and it was a very similar pattern on all those other properties that we bought from this same seller. Why? Because we were willing to buy a smaller one to get to the bigger ones. Sacrifice in the short term leads to long-term gains. In business, you're gonna come up against power frames. There's an amazing book by Orrin Claff called Pitch Anything, and he talks about frame control, and I would suggest that you read it. Let me explain how we use frame control to acquire thousands of units here in the Charlotte area. Went to dinner with our broker that brought us a whole bunch of these different properties. And at dinner, he was trying to push a power frame, meaning he was in charge, he was here. In order for us to regain the frame, needed to disrupt his power frame. The way that we did that, he said he wanted to pay for dinner. I didn't want him to pay for dinner. That's a power move, I want to pay for dinner. But he was insistent that he paid for dinner. So what I did is I went to the restroom before the check came. And I didn't just give the waiter my card. I told the waiter, hey, he's gonna give you his card. When he gives you his card, please come back and tell him that his card declined. So he brings the bill. The waiter goes and runs the card. He already has my card too. Runs the card, comes back and tells the commercial listing broker that his card declined. Power frame, down. And then we laughed, and we said, hey man, your money's no good here. Good thing we got our card. That is a way that we disrupted the power frame. And listen, frame control is fun. It should be a fun process. But that is one simple way that we use frame control to gain relationships here in the Charlotte area to take down a shitload of apartment buildings. Why should people invest in apartments versus single family? Like, I look at this 40-unit property, you have 40 tenants. If one tenant leaves on this 40-unit property, it's not even a blip on the radar. But you have a single family property and your tenant leaves, it takes you a month to get another tenant in. That could be, dude, that could be all of your income, like your positive income for profit for the year. Here, it increases your chances of winning. It's economies of scale. It increases your chances to win. I have a 100-unit building and I have a mass exodus of 20 people all at once. I'm still profitable on that deal, let alone trying to pay the mortgage on that deal. Why should you invest in bigger deals? Because they are actually safer for you to invest in. Safer. Here's another way that we use frame control to gain and instill confidence in our commercial listing broker. See, this raise that we had to do, a 415-unit property, was $8.5 million. We had never raised $8.5 million. That broker did not know that, but we knew that. But you could tell that broker was worried about that. So he asked us, he said, hey man, this is an $8.5 million raise. Do you have investors? And if so, who are those investors? Because everyone says they have investors until they don't. Mind you, remember, at this point, we had zero money wired from our investors. Zero. Once again, I need to battle and combat his frame. So what do I need to do? I need to disrupt that frame. And how I did that is I said, is $8.5 million a bigger raise than you're used to seeing? Like, okay, now that makes more sense as to why our partners are always telling us that they need more deals, than we need to build relationships with more brokers. And don't take that the wrong way. Like, you're absolutely our favorite broker. They have told us that you're their favorite broker, but our problem isn't investors. Our problem is deal flow. We need deal flow. So what deals do you have coming down the pipeline? And by deals, I mean actual relationships, contracts with the seller, because everyone has deals until they don't. See, what that was is crushing the power frame, but also using what's called an intrigue frame. That intrigue frame is when I say, no wonder our partners have told us that we need to start looking at other ways to gain, deal flow from other brokers. That's an intrigue frame, because that broker wants all of our business. These small little subtle acts of defiance are how we use frame control to build relationships, instill confidence, and close deals. Once again though, I want to clarify, we had raised $0 at this point. We had $0 in, but our frame was rock solid because we knew that we had made a commitment to do something. And here's why these little small commitments right now can lead to big results later. Because when you know that when you say you're gonna do something, you can actually trust yourself that you're actually gonna honor self-promises to do it, you become very confident, very composed, and you know that what you're saying yes to is something that you're gonna perform on. Here are the top 3 questions that you need to be prepared for during a seller's interview. They're gonna wanna know as much as possible about your track record, number 1, your funding capabilities, how much money you can raise, number 2, and then your proposed business plan so that they can gauge your ability to close. Like ideally what you would like is you would like to have a sponsor or an investor with a proven track record to help you with number 1. That's actually probably the most important aspect of the seller's interview is they need to know, will this deal actually get to the closing period? That's also comes in with number 2, which is your funding capabilities. How much money have you raised and who are your investors and where is the money coming from? Then number 3, your proposed business plan also helps with your ability to close. Listen, this is why screening out newbies is so important, because the newbie has a way better chance of backing out of the deal in the due diligence phase because either they can't fund the deal, they're not qualified for financing, they did a poor job underwriting, or they don't have a qualified team. So if you know that those are the 3 major things that you need to have prepared in your seller's interview, make sure that you have a strong case on all 3 of those things and you will win more deals. Go put it to work. Here's how we maximize the profitability on this property in the span of 18 months. We bought this property for $1.1 million and sold it for $2.6 million 18 months later. And here's what we did. Number 1 is we implemented a solid turn strategy, meaning we came in, raised rents to see where the ceiling was, and if tenants did not want to renew, then what we would do is they would move out, we would turn it into a premium product and bring it up to market rents. That helped us increase occupancy and increase the rents on the property. Also, number 2, man, collections. You have to pursue collections more aggressively than you maybe normally do. You should be doing this the whole time through the hold period, but more aggressively at the end of the hold period when you're getting ready to exit so that your numbers look better. And then number 3 is you need to evaluate and scrutinize the P&L, profit and loss, all the time. That should be done the whole time. Scrutinize the P&L, which means you need to understand what are your income items and your expense line items and what expenses you should be tackling towards the end and which ones you shouldn't. For example, we have a beautiful dog park over here. That was added in the beginning, not the end. See, the end, that's gonna be an added expense that's not gonna necessarily help you see the return on your exit. But I'll tell you what will help you see a return on your exit. Increasing and enhancing your rent roll. That is why I talk about the collections. That's why I talk about the P&L. That's why I talk about these different bad debt items, anything that's going to enhance your income to make sure that when you go to sell, your numbers are clean. Another thing that you need to look at as an added bonus is your exterior. Clean it up, make it look nice, make it look attractive, so when these potential buyers come in, it's an upside, not a downside. Once again, we want to put as many things as possible in line to stack undeniable proof as to why they should buy this thing and why they should pay the most amount to buy it. One of the most important things you can look at for pre-screen value add opportunities is the unit mix on your properties. We prefer more 2 and 3 bedroom units than we do 1 bedroom because they're easier to rent, they get more rents, higher rents, they're a more qualified tenant and they stay longer. This property though is all 100% 1 bedroom, 1 bath units. A lot of people would pass up on something like that because they don't know how to look deeper. See, when we bought this, we looked deeper into the occupancy. We wanted to see historical occupancy over the past few years to see if the demand was for this was high in the area. The demand was very high in the area. We looked at the past 2 years P&L to see the occupancy of this property, and it was trending over the past 2 years at 99%. That shows us the demand for this unit mix in this area is very high. And so what do? We look deeper, we think bigger, and we perform better. Anyway, that is how we drove massive value on these apartment buildings, man. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you leave a comment down below, a question down below. Let me know what else you want to learn, where you want me to go, what you want me to do. These are for you. And also subscribe so you don't miss out when I do drop those. Share so that more people can get this damn knowledge that's coming from my dome. It's coming from my dome. And then always live with aloha, y'all. Peace.